Hey, I feel like the energy is gonna be pretty low this check-in video. But yeah, I don't feel guilty. I don't feel any kinds of ways about it. I'm just letting you know that I feel away. And then this is a prime example that you still gotta show up. You gotta show up for yourself. You gotta show up for whatever it is, regardless of your emotions, regardless of how you're feeling. I finally took my twist out. I didn't even peep that I had the twist in since week 2. Like, I didn't even peep. I peeped that last week. Child, I meant to take my hair out, and like that just didn't happen. So now we're here. Let's get straight into it with the overview of my entire week. So we are at week 7, and week 7 is all about recovering a sense of connection, which I do feel I've made a connection with my inner artist. And I definitely feel like with the emotional level that I was at for week 7, I definitely feel like that was me connecting to my inner artist and just kind of coming into reality with things. I started reading on Monday. I posted week 6 on Sunday, and I really feel like I'm getting into the routine of just going with the flow, getting comfortable, getting in the groove of things. Between week 6 and week 7, I just am realizing how much energy I put into other people that causes me to then have this emotional reaction, which then causes me to not even want to do the things that I need to do for myself. And yeah, fast forward, I did all of my morning pages, but on Friday I got asked to come into work at 8 a.m. instead of 9 a.m., which is a very big difference for me, which means that I had to wake up around like 5:45, 5:50 if I wanted to do my morning pages, which I did try. The alarm was set, but I guess I hit snooze twice, and then I ended up waking up around like 6:30ish, and like that was not enough time for me to do my morning pages and go to work. Like the morning pages take me minimum an hour. I wasn't about to stress myself, so I did my morning pages that evening, which I did mention last check-in video that I did do. That happened like on week 5 or whatever when my cycle came on, but I never went into how it made me feel, and I just wanted to touch on that. I am not a fan of doing the morning pages in the evening time. I'm not saying there's a right or wrong way of doing it. I'm just saying for me personally, it was a struggle. Like Friday, I felt like it wasn't even like I was blocked. It just felt like I had so much to say by this point of the day that the morning pages started to become stressful. They started to feel forceful, like I was trying to find something to talk about. When in the morning there's just more of like a relaxation, a free flow. It kind of feels like a dump, and then I get on with my day. But Friday kind of felt like I had my day, and now I gotta come back and just try to be all zen and write on these pages. And I feel like it took longer than I wanted it to, but that was an interesting feeling. Like I'm not really a fan of that. Yeah, but like I said, that was because I had to be to work earlier, which goes into my next thought, or like a war that was going inside of my head throughout week 7, which was the whole money versus art thing. So I know in my last check-in I definitely mentioned that I wanted to get a second job, and that is still in the works. Like my friend said she was going to reach out to her manager, and so I'm just waiting back to hear back for like an interview. But going into work Friday, especially an hour earlier, made me question whether or not I really wanted a second job. And granted, I feel like I keep going back and forth with this. Do I not? And ultimately, I feel like I do, because I feel like the financial gain will support my artistic endeavors, which is very ironic for me to say, leaving out of week 6, recovering a sense of abundance. Like it's not supposed to be about money, and that's not a authentic block, as Julia has let us know, and as you and I have discovered as we go on this journey. That's totally fine. I think I was just working against that new profound information, or that rediscovery, because yes, I do know it's not all about money. I know that, but because of like the circumstance that I'm in, I just kind of want to hurry up and further where I'm at, and I know that money will do that. And again, I'm not trying to come off as like insincere or like, I don't know, as like a materialistic, because it's really not all about that. And I think I was just going back and forth within that, because also my job had like a little slow period. So the only reason I thought to get a second job is because they were only scheduling me 3 days a week, which is cool. Like I was still hitting like some marks. Like it wasn't completely bad, and that's actually when I feel like I thrived the best in the artist way, is when they took my schedule off. Because honestly, I was beginning to feel a bit, I don't know, I was just starting to feel a way about just going into work like every day, like Monday through Friday, you know, 9 to 5, the regular 9 to 5 scheme, you know. But when they gave me 3 days, I was like, bet, this is cool. But when you're like doing that for like a cool 3 or 4 weeks, we're hitting a month. Now you kind of got to start to question, because you know, as an adult, you have things to do, and that's just kind of like where I was at. I'm kind of at the point where I'm not going to apply for any more jobs like in this. I think because of the season that we're in, like it's fall, hours are starting to pick back up at my job, and I just have to remember, like with a full-time check, working 5 days, I was meeting my marks. So I don't want to become so burnt out that I can't do my art. And that's basically what I experienced on Friday. Like if I'm too tired after I come home from work to do my stuff, like my art, or like to be creative, then that's very alarming to me. But in the same breath, I'm an adult. Like I want to move into my own place. I want to have kids. Like the conversation is had now that kids are supposed to be popping into the picture next year. I'm not completely, totally satisfied with where I'm at as an artist. But at the same time, life goes on. Like you can't stop life just because you're not where you're at. So I think, yeah, like, I mean, I feel like that's like the realizations that I'm having is that, you know, I can always use more money. I guess I can always have like more resources, but especially with the topics discussed in this reading, it just kind of made me say, man, fuck all of that. Like that, it doesn't matter. Have a plan, execute it, yes, but like don't push to the side your art. But yeah, morning pages was 7 out of 7, like I did them every day. But I can't, like doing it in the evening time. Like it's enough for me. Me personally, do you though? Do you? Like if that's what works for you and shit, please do you. I'm just saying I didn't like it. My artist date. So one of the topics that we discussed in this week's reading was taking risks, like risk. And I feel like I took a risk with doing the same thing this week for my artist date as last week, which was paint. And man, oh man, I really have the artist way and Julia to thank for getting me to paint again, because ever since I got the paint and started painting, I have not wanted to put down the paintbrush. Like I have been painting damn near every day for week 7. The painting is almost finished. When I post like that little reel of like the artist date, you will see the progression from last week to this week. But yeah, I just feel like, I mean, that was my artist date, painting again. And I just felt like it was a risk because, I don't know, I mean, and then I thought it was a good example of perfectionism too, which was another topic discussed in the reading. Because, you know, I'm over here thinking about how the artist way is supposed to go and how this creative recovery is supposed to unfold, but there is no right or wrong way. Like I gotta keep reminding myself that there is no right or wrong way. And so with that being said, there's no reason for me to feel like painting again the next week for an artist day is wrong. And so I think that's just a risk that I took. Like it was a risk for me, but it felt good, you know what I'm saying? I did note here that I got very overwhelmed. Yeah, there was a lot of tears this week. I cried this week. I was very emotional, especially towards the end of the week, which I was expecting to come. I've heard that people have done like a big cry and a big like emotional recollection, and like just like an overall epiphany is had. So I mean, I welcome it with open arms. I'm all for it. I guess it just like came at like a time where I just wasn't expecting it. Like I just wasn't ready. Slightly because of the whole time versus art thing, like the war that was going inside my head. Like, oh, I need more money to live the life I want to live. And then also just the friction that comes with working on yourself. So like I noticed this week that when I focus in on myself and I'm just like, yeah, I've got the visors on and I'm not worried about nobody, nothing but myself. It's just hella interesting to see people's reactions to you focusing on yourself and your journey. Like, oh, I notice how we don't talk as much when I'm focusing on myself. I notice that you're not as supportive, or that you feel jealous or envious that I'm over here doing me. And maybe it's a reflection that you're not doing as much for you. I mean, quite frankly speaking. And that's been like just an interesting thing to sit with. That's just been an interesting thing to become aware of. Yeah, just lots of emotions this week. Just lots of thoughts about being alone and like the friends that I have now. I wonder who's still gonna be around when I get to where I'm trying to go. I'm happy that I can be the light in other people's life and like I can inspire them and move them and stuff, but like who's doing that for me? Like who's pouring into me? It seems like I've got a few leeches, like people are draining me more than they're pouring into me, and I'm noticing that heavily. So if I pull back, that's on them, it's not on me. I'm still gonna be the peace, love, happiness, Daisy that they know and love. Like I hope all goes well in your life and I wish you love and happiness and success, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to be like there in it, especially, I don't know, if you're hurting me more than helping me. Yeah, and then we had 2 exercises this week. One was like a jealousy map, which I'll get more into my feelings about jealousy when I get to the reading because we're about to transition. And this archaeology exercise where she wanted us to go into like being a kid, like, when I was a kid, I could have did this, I could have did that, I wanted to be this, I had dreams of being that. And I always love when she asks us to recall our inner child because I definitely feel like my inner child is still alive. Like she's literally still there, and every time these questions pop up or I take like this time to sit down with her and ask her these questions, her voice just comes out so loud and I'm like, oh, my bad, honey, like I didn't know you felt like this. Like let me get correct, let me get right, let me put some things in place so that you can have some free time today, okay? So I really enjoy that. The tasks were cool. 10 tasks I only got to have this week. Hey, no shame in my game, but I didn't know. I was like, LOL, the tasks are starting to get a bit physical, LOL. Because I have literally a manila folder, and weeks 1 through 4 is just so many papers. Because in the task, Julia asks us to make graphs and write stories and make lists of our favorite this and that and name the people who this and that. So there was a lot of writing in the beginning, but now that we're transitioning, I guess, to like the latter half of the recovery, the tasks are getting to be more physical, a bit more hands-on, and we're not mad at it. I think the perfectionist in me, going into this, I was like, I'm going to complete everything that Julia asks of me because, I was equating having the most optimal results with doing everything in the book, but I think it's less about how many tasks I complete and how many exercises I get through, and more about the depth of the task. Like, how did I feel? What did I gain from doing this? And if I did that, then it was successful ultimately at the end of the day. Okay, let's get into these reading notes. I'm gonna keep it short, sweet, and simple for the reading notes, just because, honestly, just because I want to. So starting off, week 7 was all about recovering a sense of connection, a connection to your inner artist, to your inner voice. And Julia says that this week we are focusing on having the right attitude when it comes to our creativity. Again, attitude when it comes to our creativity. I find it so ironic how I was going through all of these emotions, and that is literally the focus of this week. So the first topic is listening. And Julia basically says that through the morning pages and our artist dates, we are developing a skill. We are honing in on the skill of listening to our inner voice, to our inner artist. She says that art is not about thinking something up. It's about getting something down. These moments of clear inspiration require that we move into them on faith. We can practice these small leaps of faith daily in our pages and on our artist dates. We can learn not only to listen, but to hear with increasing accuracy that inspired intuitive voice that says, do this, try this, say this. This just kind of reminded me of just stepping outside of your comfort zone. Sometimes we do have that voice. I know y'all hear the voice, the little voice sitting on your shoulder saying, oh, maybe I could, maybe, but we ignore that voice. We ignore that voice for reasons unknown, for reasons known, but chosen to ignore. You know what I'm saying? It also made me think about synchronicity, how that is a confirmation, like that is a gift from spirit. Like we need to trust that the universe got us. And that's kind of like what she wraps up this section with. She says, expect the universe to support your dream because it will. You will begin to have these experiences of finding things that happen to fit with what you're doing, whether it's books, seminars, tossed out stuff. And that first comes from listening to the voice of even doing it. And then once you take the action to do it, spirit will bless us. Oh, so like, you gotta do the thing, you guys. You gotta do the thing. The next topic is perfectionism, which let me tell you what Julia said about us, okay? Tilly Olsen correctly calls it the knife of the perfectionist attitude in art. You may call it something else. Getting it right, you may call it, or fixing it before I go even further. You may call it having standards. That's me. That's me. What you should be calling it is perfectionism. Perfectionism has nothing to do with getting it right. It has nothing to do with fixing things. It has nothing to do with standards. Perfectionism is a refusal to let yourself move ahead. It is a loop, an obsessive, debilitating, closed system that causes you to get stuck in the details of what you are writing or painting or making and lose sight of the whole. Man, at first I was like, honestly, all I'm gonna say here is that like I know perfection does not exist. But for the longest time, I was like, oh, well, I'm just striving for my own definition of perfection. But that's still striving for some form of perfection. And nothing is perfect. Like, I know this. And clearly, that's why I haven't been starting. Like, that's been a hindrance in me. Like, yes, Julia, I have standards. Okay? Standards that I really want to be met. I feel like Julia is really asking me, like she's basically saying, okay, what if I told you right here, right now, that before you even get into it, start all of this work and whatnot, that the end results are not going to look like what you envision? Are you still going to do it? Are you still going to go through with your plan, with your project? And it's sad that my answer was no. It's sad that my answer was no. And then that caused me to further deep dive and ask myself, well, when did my view on art become so rigid? Like, when did it become so one and all and final and done type thing? And I realized that it was because of external forces. I've mentioned the Still Life podcast that I've been listening to. I just finished chapter 2, which was all about identity. And one of the things that he asked was, you know, who are you when no one's around? That is your true authentic self. You know, and it was just, I think it just really goes into perfectionism, because you kind of want to set the bar, you want to set the tone, but nobody's thing is like perfect. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of artists out now who probably cringe at their first piece of artwork, but it was needed to get to where they are now. And so I think that's what she's saying here. To wrap up, I will leave you with this. Perfectionism is not a quest for the best. It is a pursuit of the worst in ourselves. The part that tells us that nothing we do will ever be good enough, that we should try again. No, we should not. Dang, my bad, y'all. My camera got hot, and while I was waiting, I put my shades on and I forgot to take them back off for that little part. The next topic is risk. Risk. And she opens up with a little Q&A. She says, what would I do if I didn't have to do it perfectly? And the answer is a great deal more than I am. Off rip, this section really reminded me of, you know, those feelings of being an idiot, of looking like an idiot when we try to do these grandiose ideas out in the world. Everything that Julia has talked about thus far is really starting to make sense and connect and come full circle. Like, even with perfectionism, like, all of what she has in the book is really speaking to me, but there'll be like those handful of topics that really just reach for my soul, and perfectionism was one of them. Risk is another one. No, but Julia says that we don't compare our student films to George Lucas's student films, the guy in our student film class. We compare it to Star Wars. She says that we deny that in order to do something well, we must first be willing to do it badly. Usually when we say we can't do something, what we mean is we won't do something unless we can guarantee that we'll do it perfectly. Sometimes I'll cut myself off before I even begin, and I need to stop that. Like, I just need to stop. Yeah, I had a memory that I felt was an example of synchronicity. So during COVID, my wife and I took advantage of the cheap flights because they wanted everyone to stay inside. They didn't want anybody traveling 6 feet apart, all that whoop-de-whoop. And so the flights to travel were hella cheap, and we took advantage of that. And we went to Cali. We went to Cali and we went to Las Vegas. And it was so much fun. And one of my captions for that post was no risk, no reward. Now, I know that COVID and quarantining and all that was a very traumatic time for all of us. But I also feel like there were some beautiful things that came out of that. And like one of the things was just taking that risk to even buy the flights and to do that. Anyways, you know, because without that, then I would have never went to Cali. And that was my first time going to California, and I had a time. California is the end goal. Like, I honestly describe California as the promised land. That is where I want to reside, raise my kids, start a family, all that. Okay, and the last topic, jealousy. Jealousy. I did want to start off with my own personal feelings. Now, I'm not saying that I never get jealous, but I am going to say that, like, just like anger, I don't really entertain jealousy too much because I know that it's a bad thing. Like, I don't like to be jealous, and I feel like I've learned at a very young age about like what that can do and like what that really means. And so, you know, I don't know, when it comes to being jealous, it's just kind of like I definitely feel like I am with Julia when she gave us the jealousy map exercise. She basically wanted us to put like 3 columns: who we're jealous of, why, and then an actionable, let me see what, an action anecdote that we can do to diffuse that jealousy. And I kind of feel like I do that on a regular basis. Like, every time I feel a way about something or someone, I always check myself. Like, I feel like I do this jealousy map exercise on a daily basis, even before the artist way, before reading this, because I'm very quick to analyze and be like, ooh, hold up, honey, like he, she, they did nothing to you, they don't even know you. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe they do know you, but they don't know that you feel this way. I don't act on my jealousy. I don't bring it up forth. But I always tell myself, like, okay, they didn't do anything to you. What is it about them, or what do they have, or what characteristic do they inhabit that you feel like you lack, or that you want for yourself, that they are making you feel like you don't have, that's causing this envious feeling to arise in the first place. So I don't know, I feel like the exercise just really like solidified that I move correctly when it comes to jealousy. Like, when that emotion pops up, even the first paragraph I kind of feel supports what I'm saying. Jealousy, I've often heard, is a normal human emotion. When I hear that, I think maybe your jealousy, but not mine. My jealousy roars in the head, tightens the chest, massages my stomach lining with a cold fist as it searches out the best grip. I have long regarded jealousy as my greatest weakness. Only recently have I seen it for the tough love friend that it is. I feel like this supports my claim. Like, first of all, like, my jealousy ain't doing all of that. It's not roaring in the head. It's not making my stomach churn up. Like it's not doing all of that. My jealousy is very calm. It's literally like, I see something, like I said, someone or something, and I'm just like, I want that for myself. And I'm very quick and I'm very good at catching that and realizing that. So I think I handle it fairly well. And I've always looked at jealousy as a tough love friend. You know, she said that she used to regard it as a great weakness. Hey, I used to feel, I kind of still, before the artist way, I kind of felt like procrastination was my biggest weakness. But now I realize that my procrastination is just like jealousy is a tough love friend. It is a mechanism. It is something that I need to notice very quickly and fix very quickly so that it doesn't grow into something else. Yeah, so when it came to doing the jealousy map, I definitely was like, oh, okay. Like, I was pretty satisfied with the results. I only had like 4 people on there, and like one of them was a celebrity, so I was like, but the action anecdotes were all damn near the same. Like, I just need to get started, which again, I feel like this process is really bringing out of me. Like, I think, child, by the time I get to week 12, I'm gonna be like, finally, like, not like I'm trying to speed past this and be done, but like I've mentioned before, like, I'm ready to create and like start on my projects, and this is just really getting me excited. I already started one last week for my artist date, like that week 6 when I started when I recorded some singing videos. So I've just got to edit those. But I mean, I know I don't have to wait until week 12 either to get started. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I think the jealousy map definitely helps, because I mean, she said jealousy is a map and each of our jealousy maps differs. Jealousy is always a mask for fear. Fear that we aren't able to get what we want, frustration that somebody else seems to be getting what is rightfully ours, or even if we are too frightened to reach for it. At its root, jealousy is a stingy emotion. And she wraps up with saying, jealousy strips us of our will to act when action holds the key to our freedom. Let me check that off. Yeah, man, she be dropping gems. I'm gonna make a shirt or something. It's gonna be like Julia be dropping gems. Julia dropping gems. Oh no, I gotta put that. Only the artist way people will know it's an insider. But like I just feel like, you know, she really spoke to me. I feel like I don't have too much to say on this topic because I don't think it's that present in my life. I really do get inspired. Like if somebody has something that I want, or if I see a part of someone's character that I can relate to, or I see a little bit of myself in, it honestly just moves me deeply. It makes me feel extremely confident, like I'm on the right path and that I'm not alone. So yeah, that's it. But that's all I've got for you guys today. Week 7, you know, we outside with it outside. You know, it wouldn't be me if I didn't get a little green in there. All in all, you know, sometimes I'd be wanting to sound all prestigious and grand, trying to wrap the videos up, but honestly, if I'm gonna wrap up this check-in video, the most I can just say is that the artist way is working. It does work. I think all of our journeys are different, and I think it's interesting to just see like the trajectory of like how I feel. And I just want to remind you guys that you guys got to just do it anyway. You have to push through anyway. There have been multiple moments where I just did not feel like it. I didn't see the point of it. I wasn't emotionally at my highest that I could have been, but I still pushed myself to do it, and then I am happy that I did it at the end of the day. Like even with this video, I feel like emotionally I wasn't there. But as I hit record, as I started talking about just like what I was experiencing and things of that nature, it kind of felt like, you know, yeah, like I'm glad that I pushed myself to do this in the first place. So y'all, Daisy signing out. You feel me? I will see you at week 8 check-in video. Okay, week 8. Okay, week 8. Like, wow. 8. Well, we're about to start 8 tomorrow, so 9, 10, 11, 12. But we got like 4 more weeks of this. Let's do this. But yeah, guys, we'll see y'all next time. Bye.